Becoming pop stars. Becoming upstarts.
First home buyers have been in the news and getting all of the attention. But for first home sellers, it can be just as scary and overwhelming. What do I do? How long is it going to take? What's the process? Today, we want to help with that. We've got our favorite Central Coast agent, Jackson White from Ray White, Umina, here ready to run through the process with us from beginning to end. It's Home Sellers 101.
Pen on the paper, shaking hands across the line. Kitchen table, nervous laughter. We're trusting you with what is ours this time.
Welcome to Meet the Agent podcast. I'm Wendy Clare of Zhuge Interiors. Today, meet Jackson White of Ray White, Umina.
I say watch it all unfold.
Tell us from the very beginning, A to Z, what happens.
So usually if you're prepared to sell and you deem your house is ready, people will usually give me a call, send me an email, send me a text and say, can you come out, have a look at the home and, run through the process. Where I will go out to the home, I'll have a look and go, hey, well, I think you should do this, I think you should do that. If the house is ready to go, it's quite a simple process. Yeah, so I come out, I see the home. Once we have a bit of an idea of what we are looking for in terms of price, we sit down, we go through commissions, we go through how we go about selling the home, whether it be private treaty, whether it be auction, usually what the customer feels most comfortable with. I know auction can be a bit of a stressful process, but yeah, if someone's happy just to do private treaty, we sit down, go through all those things, go through the marketing, what's involved. Once we've agreed to everything to do with those kind of things, we would go, all right, here's an agreement. Now, with the agreement, it will just have the owner's details on it. It will also have a solicitor's details. If you don't have a solicitor or a conveyancer, we usually point you in the right direction.
So is this the agreement with you representing them? Like, let's start right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, I'm wanting to sell this place. You've come around and we're having a look at the place first.
Yeah.
This is the agreement between, say, theoretically,
yourself
you
and I. So
okay.
Usually most people go, all right, we'll have an agent come out. People will get a couple of agents out. And I always say, get a couple of agents out because there'll be a particular agent that you deem will do, one, the best job for them. Might be track record, might be experience. It might be you just get along with them better, which is a massive thing these days. You want an agent that, you can have a chat to, you can speak openly with, and you feel comfortable with. Once you have found that agent, as I said, you talk about the marketing side of things, putting it on the market and the processes that are involved. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you have an agency agreement that you would sign to say, all right, yep, Jackson, I want you to sell my home. We'd put all your details on that agreement, which would be your address, your full name, contact number and email, and then we'd say, do you have a solicitor or conveyancer? And if you don't have a solicitor or conveyancer, then we would be like, all right, well, here's a few ones, give them a call. It's the same kind of process. Find out how much they charge, find out who you get along with the most. It's because you're building a relationship as well. It's not just a business transaction. Yeah. You want to make sure, all right, I'm on this person's level. I feel as though they're doing the right thing by me, and we're going to get the best result. That could be a solicitor or a conveyancer. We jot those details down on a contract or an agreement. Mm-hmm. And in that agreement, we'll also have all the marketing stuff and the commissions and things like that. Once we have that in place, the solicitor or conveyancer, whoever you choose to go with, they will prepare a contract. That usually takes about a week.
A week? Okay,
yeah, wow. A week, yeah. So they'll get a couple of council documents. They'll reach out to council. They'll prepare the contract for you. And within that week, we have to make sure the house is 100% presentable to organise photos. Now, photos can be organised literally within 24, 48 hours. The turnaround for the photos is usually another 24, 48 hours. So the photographer will come in, he'll take all his shots, anywhere from, say, 12 to 20 photos. He'll also do a floor plan, so he'll measure up the whole room. That process usually takes an hour and a half, the whole time. And then within those 24, 48 hours, you'll have your photos. We sit back down, go through the photos and go, hey, which is going to be our number one photo to put online? We pick that shot, and then we nut out a few ideas in terms of writing our ad. Always like to involve the owner when writing an ad because they're the ones that live there. They're the ones that experience the home. They're the ones that know little things that I probably may miss. So then we sit there, construct.
Can you
an
give
ad.
me some examples of that while we're on that topic?
Your
treat
home?
us as an example.
So we go, all right, let's talk. We've got a ceiling fan, we've got air conditioning, we've got plantation shutters, we've got a good size like entertaining area, like indoor living space, separate dining area, kitchen, updated kitchen, some of the appliances, how many bedrooms there are, things like that, things that I will see. But there could be things that you've done that I don't know about. Jackson, I just recently updated the air conditioner, so we can say the air conditioner is brand new. I've just done landscaping out the back.
Right.
There's
there's irrigation that you wouldn't notice, but I took a lot of work to do the little pipes hidden under the grass.
Things like that.
Right.
Attic storage is another one. People go, oh, I've got attic storage. Well, I wouldn't have known that, so I'm glad you told me.
And that's pretty valuable now, isn't it?
100%. So that's why I usually like to involve my clients in that process of writing the ads because, all right, how does this sound? Yeah, all right, we throw some ideas in ChatGPT because that's what we've got there.
GPT is so good.
Excellent. We usually put a couple of dot points, write us a nice real estate ad. Spit something out of us. Are we happy with that? But also things like council rates, strata fees. We get the property management team to come through to get a rental estimate because in case it's an investor, the investors will want to know what the return would be. Things like how long you've actually owned it for, what made you want to buy it in the first place. All these kind of selling points are good things to put in the ad for the agent to know to relay that on to buyers because it could be the exact same person that buys your house for the same reasons that you bought it.
Right.
So yeah, once you've gone through that process, you've got your photos, you've got your contract, we've got the ad drawn up. We send you a proof. You go, oh yeah, I'm happy with how it all looks, Jackson. And then we just literally go online. It goes to realestate.com, domain.com.
From the first small step to
Midweek is usually the best time to launch a property online because towards the end of the week is when people start to look and go, all right, let's plan our weekend.
Oh, interesting.
What open homes are there?
You have to have it out by, say, a Wednesday or something.
Wednesday is usually the day I like to do them because you have, say if you do it on a late Wednesday afternoon, people coming home from work, whether they're on a train or something, they're more active on their phone in the afternoons. They see and go, oh, that's something I'd like to see. They inquire if there's no price on it. That's another thing we talk about. If you want, for instance, auction, no price, whether it be contact agent, a set price, a guide, a price range. These are all the options you have.
This is interesting too because this is where this whole new rule has come in. I don't know much about it, but about the price valuations and all of that, the underquoting, overquoting.
Yeah.
So it's at this stage where you're deciding with the buyer what price you're going to advertise.
With the seller. The seller, yeah.
With the seller, you're a seller agent, exactly. So you're deciding now what range you're going to say on the marketing?
Yeah, pretty much. So just before we put it on the market, we will sit down and have that conversation. So when I originally go out, we'll have like a list of comparable sales and go, this one sold, this one sold, this one sold. And I always ask the question, how do you think this one compares to your own home? And they go, oh, okay, well, it's got 3 bedrooms, it's got 1 bathroom, it's got a single car garage, it's in a complex of X, it's renovated like mine, and it's sold for this. Well, that seems like a pretty good comparable. So you can sit there and together agree you're probably worth somewhere around that mark.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you're kind of discussing it because there's no such thing as an actual precise valuation, right? It's all in the mind of the beholder.
It's funny when we go out to things, people go, oh, well, an agent told me it was worth this amount, and it could be more than what I say. I always ask the question, that agent thinks it's worth X. Based on what?
Right. Or Uncle Tom said.
Yeah, he said it's worth this. It's like, okay, well, why did he say it's worth that? Was there any evidence to justify that? I could say your house here is worth $3 million. Is it worth $3 million? No. So that's why you got to back it up with evidence and go, you just said someone in your complex recently sold. Wendy, this one just sold here, X, Y, and Z. How do you think it compares to yours? Well, it's in my complex. It's very, very similar. Surely I'd be around that kind of mark. With ranges, we always say, all right, well, we think we're worth, say, $1 million. A buyer can have, your best buyer might think it's worth $1 million. Worst buyer might think it's worth 900. At the end of the day, us as agents, it's not our job to tell your price. It's our job to negotiate in your behalf and use our resources and knowledge to get buyers through the door, try to create a bit of an emotional attachment for the buyer, for them to really want it, and then putting them in that competitive environment to fight out against other buyers in a transparent situation, in an environment, obviously, so it's completely open and honest with other buyers. But at the end of the day, whoever sees the most value for the property will pay the highest amount. But if you can put them in that competitive environment, it's obviously going to be better for the owner, because, as we all know, competitive environments, it just kind of price takes
edge each
care of
other
itself.
up, right? Yeah.
And whoever's got the deepest pockets and the I guess the biggest love for the home will be the ones that end up getting it. But we always use comparables just to guide initially.
So say, okay, we've decided now on what we think is going to be the rate, like say theoretically, I've said, okay, Jackson, let's go for a mil. And then what happens now?
So once we've set our price, we know what the
and we got
price we
the
want to go
photos
for.
done.
We've had the photos done. We've got the contract ready. We're ready to put it on the market. So you go,
Let's say I say, oh, we got these photos, but someone was telling me about staging. Should we have done that before the photos? When's that going to happen?
So
should I do that?
Yeah, in our presentation, we sit down. If the house is vacant, we'd go, all right, let's do some staging. It varies from property to property. If a property is fully furnished, there's no real need to do staging unless we have one of our stylists or interior designers to come in and go, all right, the house is a bit cluttered. Let's move some stuff. Let's store some stuff in the garage. Let's rearrange this room to have more light come in, to make the room look larger. Put this lounge here, put the TV against this wall. All those kind of things, it varies from property to property. Like every kind of presentation is different. Yeah. It's just the basic things that we always have to cover. Every conversation is different. But if it was a vacant home, staging is definitely something we bring up. And
you generally do that before the photos or before the first listing rather than trying how it goes and then going, well, we're not getting a lot of interest, so we'll
always at the very start. Okay. So once we have the property listed for sale, so I know, I wouldn't go out and say, all right, let's go get some staging if I didn't have it listed, because there's a potential there that I actually don't sell it and I'm wasting my time. So once I've got a property listed for sale, I go, all right, these are the next steps. All right, we are going to do staging. I'll get my stylist to come in. You can meet them around there. You can bounce some ideas off one another, and then once you're happy with what they're saying, the furniture they're going to provide and how they're going to set it up, we engage their services. Within a week they'll have the furniture in there, and then we get the photographer in. The photographer does his job, and then from there we do our ad. We have the contract, and then we put it on the market, set it for whatever price the owner wants to do. Like, we obviously have our opinion on certain properties. Some properties are auction type. Some, there may not be many comparables to justify a certain price that we're trying to achieve. So we may not put a price on there and say, you know what, we're a little bit unsure about price. At the end of the day, a home's only worth what someone's willing to pay.
Oh, okay. So that's like when you see on the listing, it just says, contact agent. It doesn't say anything more.
So the main reason why we tend to do put contact agent down there is, if, for instance, if you put your photos out, you have a good ad and you have a price, you've given the buyer everything they need to know about the home. There's no reason for them to call the agent. So you're sitting there as the agent, crossing your fingers, going, oh, please come into the open home and have a look. But if you take one aspect of the campaign away, like the price, it gives the buyer a reason to reach out to you.
So then you get some feedback on whether that's getting some interest.
Straight away, yeah. So people will email, and we'll have a template email set up. So someone go, hey, Jackson, I just want to know a price. Okay, thanks for your email. At this stage, we're going to guide around this amount based on X, Y, and Z, these recent sales. So then people go, all right, okay, that seems like a fair price because that sold for that, they're similar properties. And in that email, you might say, oh, what exactly are you after? Find a little bit more about the buyer. Hey Jackson, first home buyer. I've just got my pre-approval, finance ready to go. Got a budget of say $700,000. I'd love a house, but also looking at villas, townhouses and units, things like that. And then we can kind of build a bit of a profile for that person, and that feedback gets passed on to the owner, and they go, oh, okay, well, Jackson had that conversation with that person. This is their situation. This is what their maximum budget is. And then if they do come to the property and have a look, I already know roughly what they're willing to spend. If it is out of their budget, or if it doesn't suit, there might be another property that I can tell them about to try to help the buyer find something else. And it's the same for every owner. I might meet a buyer at another property and go, you know what, I've got the perfect thing for you. Come have a look at Wendy's.
Yeah,
they may not have seen yours or know anything about it. It's about manufacturing a sale, right buyer for the right home.
Right, okay. In our theoretical example, we've started the listings now. It's a Saturday, so it's gone out on
Wednesday.
On Wednesday 1st. And is it like several different listing sites and all that? Does it?
The two main ones are realestate.com and domain.com. We also have it our own website, but there's all homes. There's an abundance of other ones. We tend to only really get emails from our own site, realestate.com and domain.com. They're the three.
And as the seller, theoretically, have I had to go off to Fiji now or somewhere? I mean, if I can. Or am I having people come over while I'm here? I mean,
yeah, so some people do tend to like to go away and don't like to be involved in the process. Honestly, it's not that stressful. And it appears of being a stressful, but if you have the right agent, they can hold your hand through it and you're not going to have any issues. But yeah, when buyers come through, some owners will like to vacate the home and don't like to be around when the buyer's around. That's usually the best situation because some buyers feel uncomfortable having the owner there.
Yeah, right.
Them, like, what are you doing? Overhearing conversations. We have an open home.
Shoes by the doorway, fresh cut flowers in a jar. Open windows, coffee brewing, cars start lining up along the yard. Come on in, take your time.
We'll have to have another episode, especially about open homes, I think, because I know there's a bit of etiquette about that.
Someone's future walking through that door.
So, all right. So, Jackson, you've started showing people on the Saturday. What's going to happen now? You're going to call me on the Saturday night and tell me how it went, or do I just wait to hear from you?
Yeah, usually, for every agent is different, but for me, I have 15 minutes between all my open homes, so I'm kind of cram as many as I can in. If you have a lot of opens and you have a lot of time between the open homes, you end up doing an open home at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If you have an open home so late in the afternoon, buyers are doing their inspections from, say, 10 o'clock. By the time it gets to 2 o'clock, buyers are exhausted, and the last thing they want to do is want to look at more homes. So I try to cram as many as I can into the middle of the day, morning and middle of the day.
Right, because by 4 they're like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. I think I'll just...
They don't even remember the first house they saw. Yeah, go to Fiji.
Yeah, right. It makes sense.
So after each open, as I'm leaving the home, if the owner's not around or out the front or something like that, I'll just send them a quick text and say, hey, we had this many people through. I will follow everyone up, whether it be that afternoon on the Saturday or the Monday morning. And come Monday morning, they'll have a full report of all the feedback that came through. Obviously, you call a buyer. If they don't answer, you leave a voicemail and send a text. During the course of the day, they might respond to you or call back. A few days later, they might respond to you. But yeah, usually on a Monday, I will have a full report to pass on to an owner.
That sounds exciting.
Mondays are always the most exciting day for us. Yeah, very, very busy.
All right. So what do we expect is going to happen now? I mean, again, let's say there's been a little bit of interest. Maybe a few nibbles.
Yeah.
Not yet got a big fish.
So after the first open home, people may request a contract to review, may request a second inspection, may ask additional information. They might submit an offer. If I get an offer, I submit the offer to the owner pretty much straight away.
And then I go and buy the bubbly.
Yeah,
as soon as you got an offer.
hold your horses, hold your horses. No,
Tell
we're
me,
not done yet.
Wendy, calm down.
Yeah. Let's see what everyone else thinks.
All right.
But yeah, we don't tend to really make a decision on any offers from a Saturday until we've gotten everyone's feedback that had came through, because you don't want to kind of jump the gun and go, someone's made an offer, I'm happy to take it. And you talk to someone on the Monday and go, oh, Jackson, I actually love that. Sure, I'd like to make an offer of X. And you're just like, oh, we've already accepted an offer
You
from
won't
another
change your
person.
mind?
No, not once. No, not once you kind of pay the buyer pay the deposit and sign the contract. You can't. So I always say, yeah, let's just cool the jets. Let's just make sure this is the right
So
move for us.
a yes on the phone of, okay, we accept that, we'll have to stand even if they haven't paid the money.
It varies from person to person. Like
Okay.
morally, yeah, it
Yeah.
should. But I've had instances where the owner says, yep, let's take it. We're going to go for it. I told the buyer, come Monday, another buyer comes in and offers, say, 20, 30, 40 grand more. I, by law, have to pass
Yeah.
that information on to the owner. And it's the owner's decision.
owner's
if
decision,
they want
right.
to. So obviously they're the worst ones for an agent, because
That's an ouch, yeah.
yeah, the
I
buyers
get
get angry. The first buyer gets angry at me. You're just a messenger. You're just like,
So
don't get angry
Jackson
at me.
say, don't shoot the messenger.
Don't shoot a messenger. But I kind of
Cool.
always try to educate my owners with that kind of situation that could happen, and say, let's just not make any rash decisions. Give me a few days. and then
Sleep
we'll-
on it.
Yeah, sleep on it. And then we'll reassess it, and we'll come back in the next 24, 48 hours. And a good agent will be able to keep that buyer on ice and just say, hey, this is obviously a big move for the owner. We just need a day to think about it. Not saying no. It's looking very promising for your offer to be accepted, but just give us a little bit of time to massage the situation, and we'll get an answer back to you as soon as possible, because you don't really want to lose a buyer, say potential to another property,
No.
with delaying. So
Yeah,
it's
right.
you kind of each situation you just got to play how the cards are dealt,
Yeah.
I guess. You're just like, sometimes you do have to jump straight in. Sometimes you can work your magic and drag it out a few days to make sure the owner's 100% making the right call for themselves.
Cool. So let's skip forward and say we've decided, yes, we've got the biggest fish.
Yep.
And I'm like, show me the money.
Yes.
What happens now?
Yeah, so now the buyer will give us all their details. We'll put those details on the contract. The contract was prepared by your solicitor, obviously, and then we'll run through what the terms and conditions are with that buyer's offer. Buyer's details will be there. There'll be a settlement period.
That can be all different, can it?
It
What
can all
all the
be,
terms and
yeah.
conditions are?
So, for
Wow.
instance, there's one I'm selling at the moment, and the purchaser actually wants to purchase the furniture included in the sale.
Right.
Yes, there's certain items there. I would love this. I'd love this. I'd
Yeah.
love this. And then we can insert those inclusions.
Okay. I can
into
say
the
you can
contract.
have it all, just not my dog.
Just not my dog. That's
Yeah.
right.
All right.
So,
cool.
yeah,
So we've
little
decided
things like
on
that.
the terms and conditions.
Yep.
Excellent.
And then the buyer will pay their deposit. Once we've got that, we get the buyer to sign, and then we get you as the owner to sign. In most situations these days, the buyer will have a cooling off period, usually about 5 business days. In that time, they'll do a strata report. Their solicitor will engage someone to do a strata report. They'll do like a pest and building inspection.
Oh, my dogs are the only pests around here. Oh, good. Yep.
And they'll usually get a bank valuation if needed. These days, banks will usually do like an online valuation if they're borrowing a certain amount of money. That's usually the back end stuff. Owner doesn't really have to worry anything about that. The solicitors will kind of take care of it. And then after those 5 business
So this
days,
is when no news is good news.
no news is good
Yeah.
news. Exactly right. Yeah. And after those 5 business days, the buyer will pay the additional, say, 5 or 10% deposit, and that's when it's done. It's done. yeah.
It's legally, that's happened.
Binding. Yeah, it's sold.
binding.
It's sold. And then the
Right.
next step for you is shift your stuff out.
Okay.
Start packing.
And how long do I have to do that?
So
Usually?
every contract's different. Standard is 6 weeks. But for instance, that one I just mentioned before, they're probably going to have about a 12-week settlement. So the buyer has, because the place is vacant with furniture in it, the buyer needs a bit of time to have their home sold. So yeah, they're proposing a 12-week settlement. And if they can move quicker, well, then we'll bring that settlement forward.
Oh, okay. So it can have a kind of
Flexible.
if-then situation.
Of course, yeah.
Interesting.
So we'll set a certain date, and then if things need to be changed, usually the solicitors will communicate with the two of them between each other if there needs to be a change, but usually I'm not really involved in that kind of part of it. No, the solicitor will liaise with the owner, yeah, it kind of just takes care of itself, really.
And so you just go on to other business and then come back again into the picture in that 12-week time frame or whenever?
Yeah, no.
You go to
honestly,
Fiji.
I go to Fiji. Nah, within that 6-week period, say for a settlement, I'm still talking to my owners every couple of days.
Oh, okay.
How you going with stuff? Like where you're moving to? Do you need someone to come help you pack? Do you need a removalist contact? Trying to align things for them just to make it as seamless and stress-free as possible. I don't really sell the home and go, all right, thanks for that, I'll catch you later, and just leave you in the lurk. They're holding your hand from the start to the end.
Oh,
so you're never
Jackson,
alone.
that's
You're never
good.
alone.
Excellent. So you're kind of making sure it's all staying on track with the buyer as well. Do you check
Yeah,
in
so I
and going,
check in with the buyer and go, how's things going with, say, for instance, your home selling?
Yeah.
Usually their agent will reach out to me and go, hey, Jackson, had this many people through on the weekend. We had these offers. We're getting close to a sale. But usually stay pretty close contact with the buyer
Right.
to make sure everything on their end's fine, everything on the owner's end's fine, and it all just kind of comes together. And it's, like a simultaneous, I guess, transaction.
So that sounds very good. So
It's not
okay,
as scary as what some may think.
yeah, exactly. I think it sounds very scary going in, but yeah, it all makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
So let's say we're now at that 12-week part, and I've got the removalist all done, and I'm just waiting for it all to finish up
Go through.
so I can move to Mexico or wherever I want.
Wherever you like.
Yes, up north. What's going to happen now? What's all the formalities?
For day of settlement,
Yeah.
the buyer will usually come in and do their final inspection. Now, if the house
Was
is
there an
vacant,
inspection before? You said final inspection.
final inspection, yeah.
So when was the first one? Sorry.
First open home. Could have been when they first
okay.
viewed the home, wherever they might have a second inspection, third inspection. But after they pay the deposit and the contracts are exchanged, the buyer usually doesn't come back until the final inspection.
Okay, right.
And that's when all the stuff's out. And all they're doing is coming in to make sure there's no damage to the home. So, for instance, there's a hole in the wall. Well, that wasn't there before. Well, you as the owner has to fix that because you sold it to them without that hole in the wall, and now there's a hole in the wall.
So it's only changes that have happened since they sold it potentially.
Yeah, sign the contract. Yeah,
All
and they just want to come in and go, all right, you haven't left any rubbish. Like, for instance, if you're moving all your stuff, and says, oh, you've left a lounge and a table. Well, I don't want that. That wasn't in the contract. You as the owner have to get rid of it.
Okay.
In some cases, owners do leave things and they don't want to come get them. The solicitors will actually kind of negotiate between the two of them.
I think the owner in this place, not that I own it, but I think they left a kind of, signed limited edition art print in the storage. I was like, thanks very much. I think I'll be keeping that.
Yeah. But yeah, little things like that, if the owners don't remove them, the solicitors will kind of negotiate between each other and say, all right, to remove these things is going to cost us $500 or something.
Right.
They'll hold some money up on settlement, and then we'll use that $500 to have the place cleaned out and whatnot. So it's perfect for the buyer.
All right. And then...
Very rarely that happens, though. But yeah, it does happen.
So, but the big check has already gone through or is only going through then at that 12 weeks.
Yeah,
and then literally...
day of settlement. Day of or day before settlement. That's when the very last check, the buyer's happy, they call the solicitor and say, yep, everything's sweet, process the money. And then the solicitors will just transfer the monies over and then it's done. You've sold your house, you own the house. Congratulations.
This is how we sell it, from a promise to a sign out front.
Wow. And so what, that day, do they then pick up the keys or something?
Yeah,
Really?
100%. So the solicitors will allocate a time for us, usually 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Nothing usually past 4 o'clock. But yeah, the solicitors are the ones that, dedicate a time. And then they'll email us and go, hey, Jackson, it's all done. Hand the keys over. The buyer comes in, drop the keys in their hand, and away you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all good. And then that's it. Happy days.
That's it. That's all it
done.
is. As I say, it's not as
When do
stressful
you
as
come
what people
around with
think.
the big bouquet of flowers that I've seen some?
That
Some
one, I sold that
agents
one the
do.
other day. We sold the house and we popped a bottle of champagne out the front with a sticker. So yeah, they put the sold sticker on and we popped the bottle of champagne.
That's
But
nice.
on day of settlement, when we hand keys over, we give our vendors and buyers a gift. At the moment, we're giving out a box voucher at Edelon.
Oh,
So
the
like
box is superb.
Yeah,
Good-
so
good
like
choice.
a dining voucher.
This is not paid for by the box. It's not. Yeah, good choice. Absolutely. And then when do you take your lovely face away from the ad outside? I mean, that's got to be a
Usually-
difficult thing for you, right? Like,
No, there's enough of them out there.
You
Just
stuck the sold sticker
burn 'em-
over
burn
some
'em
time
down.
back.
You don't need my head out there. Don't worry about that. The usually day of settlement, the signboard company, because it's
Yeah.
outsourced, we don't do the signs, we outsource the signs. The signboard company will get a notification to say, hey, this one's now sold and settled. You can come get the sign. And usually within 24, 48 hours, they come out, they take it away and on to the next one.
Really? I've seen a few hanging around, and someone told me that agencies sometimes, forget to pick them up quickly because it leaves them a little bit more advertising.
Some
Not you
may,
guys,
some may.
obviously.
Yeah, as I said, we outsource them. So, yeah, the signboard company gets a notification as soon as it's done. So we don't really get the choice, unfortunately.
Well, that's fantastic. And then do you finally get a chance to celebrate then? Is that your moment when you're like, hip, hip, hooray, that contract's done and dusted now?
Yeah, well, once it actually is sold in terms of the buyer pays the big deposit and you put the sticker on there, that's usually when we celebrate because that's the most exciting time. By the time the owner has to move out or a buyer has to move in, they're exhausted. They're just like, oh, get me in there. This has been such a long process. Packing houses, moving things, like no one really likes to move home. It's the most stressful part about it. So, yeah, we like to celebrate before that. And that's when we put the sticker on out the front and that's after they pay the big deposit. I always give the owner and also the buyer the opportunity to put a sticker on themselves. So we always carry a fair few stickers. So the owner will whack one on and then we'll let the buyer whack one on. And especially first home buyers love to get like a bit of a quirky little photo or something like that. As I said, saw one the other week. We popped a bottle of champagne and sprayed it everywhere. It was good, yeah.
That was good. I like that a lot. Well, that is brilliant. I think it is a little bit simpler than I would have imagined, but I guess it obviously would be overwhelming for anyone. So
Yeah, 100%.
understandably,
we
it's
try
a
to take that
stressful
stress away.
time.
We try to take the stress away and just leave us with the stress. And then, we just let you know when the big decisions need to be made.
Yeah. Well, thank you for running through that. I'm sure that knowing in advance, as you must with all your clients, must help as well, like knowing this process.
Yeah.
So everyone, you can replay this as many times as you need. It's all going to be okay. You're in good hands. Thank you so much, Jackson. And thank you, everyone, for listening in. I'm Wendy Clare of Juge Interiors. Join us next week for another episode of Meet the Agent Podcast.